passing. All right, let's get into somebody who's involved in this process. Joining me live here in our WGN studios, Democratic Representative Mike Quigley from Illinois' 5th Congressional District. Congressman, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Actually, even if this bill passed, the bottom line is, or if there was a government shutdown, the bottom line is that doesn't defund Obamacare because Obamacare doesn't even rely on annual funding. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. I mean, much of Obamacare has been put into place already, but October 1st, the program starts in the state of Illinois, where people can start signing up on the program.
Now, you've been quoted, lots of people on the Sunday shows over the weekend, everybody pretty much to a person said, no shutdown, we'll get through, we'll make it. You were quoted as saying, don't be so sure about that. You actually anticipate there will be a shutdown unless your thinking has changed.
Well, here's the problem. The minority of the majority is controlling Speaker Boehner's policy. It is really not just the dog's tail wagging the body politic. It's the tip of the dog's tail. It's the Tea Party folks who have Boehner afraid of Republican primaries against his base. And he's afraid of that. And as for those reasons, I'm concerned that he'll listen to them and they'll drive us off the cliff.
So what you're saying is it's about politics and it's Boehner afraid of losing his own speakership, and that's what this is all about.
He's lost control of his caucus. It is not a one-headed caucus monster. It's 3 or 4 heads, and he's lost control of it right now. And that's why we voted over 40 times to try to repeal Obamacare.
So here's what's going to happen. The Senate's going to kick it back to you guys without that provision in there, right? And then you're going to have to deal with it. It would seem to me, and I've said on the air, the only way this thing can get through, this is Republicans trying to find a way to save face in this process. They've got to get something. Is there any kind of, any piece, anything that the Democrats can give Republicans in Congress to go here, and we'll buy a few months by doing this?
Well, look, what they're asking for, either a prolonged delay of the implementation of Obamacare, that's not really the compromise we talk about in Congress. Usually we authorize, we budget, and we appropriate. We don't do a continuing resolution in a very poor way of governing. So there you can actually give and take. Here it's either it's my way or the highway. It is Boehner's petulant child that he won't discipline.
But I'll ask again, do you expect that there will be some offering to Republicans? We'll give you this so you can go home to your constituents and say, see, I accomplished this.
See, I think they already had that. I think that was offered to them by the Speaker. They passed a continuing resolution that defunded Obamacare. So now they can say 42 times, I tried to go after this health care law. So that should be enough.
There is some news today on Obamacare. I mean, look, there are glitches in the system. I think the president would admit to that. One of them today is basically saying if certain employers choose to give health coverage to only their employee and not their family, well, the families, of course, have to get Obamacare. They've got to get coverage. So this could actually lead to an increase in cost for families. So perhaps something nobody had been thinking about. It's another glitch. The problem is I've heard the president say, look, I'm willing to work on these problems, but I can't with this Congress.
I think he's absolutely right. A major piece of legislation like health care law requires some tweaking. The problem for him is we can't pass a bill that would tweak this law because they'd be so busy trying to dismantle it or defund it. It's not a rational creature that we're dealing with here. So I think that's what the president's talking about. But I would remind everyone just why the health care law was passed. In Illinois, before this law was passed, health care premiums for Illinois citizens were increasing 3 times the rate of wages. You could be kicked off for a pre-existing condition. There were lifetime and annual caps for people. The number one reason for bankruptcy in the United States was health care catastrophe within a family.
Is the reason this thing is getting under attack right now is because, I mean, once Obamacare has been around for 5 years, 10 years, I personally think people will look back once things get fixed and say, well, I thought we, like Social Security, like Medicare, I thought we always had this. Republicans, though, complain this is government inside my home, stay out of my life.
Right, like Medicare. I've heard people say, get the federal government out of Medicare. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. There were problems even with a much smaller program brought under the Bush administration, Medicare Part D. There were glitch problems there as well. There was an attempt to defund that. Now we look at this and can't imagine that program wouldn't be there for people.
So once you get through this closure issue or the budget issue, of course, you're going to be facing the debt ceiling issue. It's just right around the corner, a few weeks away. Some have said that's really what the Republicans are waiting for. That's where your challenge will be.
It's possible, and that makes even less sense because one puts our government at risk. Refusing to raise the debt ceiling puts our economy at risk. It actually puts the worldwide economy at risk. There isn't a reputable economist in the world that thinks it's a good idea to not raise the debt ceiling. I mean, I would remind my Tea Party friends that Ronald Reagan raised the debt ceiling 18 times. We need to address the debt and the deficit. This isn't the way to do it.
And of course, the President says that too. By the way, do you foresee, very quickly before we go to break, any more sequestration, any more, well, here's the kind of thing we'll hold up like we did last time around?
I think it's quite possible.
We could face
It's unfortunate, yes.
Okay. All right, hang with me, because we're going to shift gears a little.